Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about a topic in B1 called classification. Now, classification is when biologists, they basically classify organisms into groups based on how closely related they are to one another. And the first and most broad classification they do is into different kingdoms, and there are 5 different kingdoms. First one we're going to look at is plants. Now, plants are referred to as autotrophs. This means that they can make their own food. Whenever we see the word troph in science, we know it's something to do with food. And auto, this little prefix here, means for yourself, which means they can make food for themselves. Now, how they do this is they contain an organelle called chloroplasts. Now, chloroplasts have this pigment in called chlorophyll, which can absorb the energy, light energy from the sun, and create their own glucose, their own food. So also all of these plants in this particular kingdom, they all have cell walls on their individual cells. These cell walls provide them with structure and support. The second kingdom that we need to know about, probably the most well-known one, is animals. Now, animals, unlike plants, are unable to make their own food. So we call them heterotrophs, meaning they need to get their food from another thing, another place. Now, they're different from plants on a cellular level because, first of all, they do not contain a cell wall. Instead, a lot of animals have a skeletal structure to provide them with structure, opposed to cell walls on a cellular level. Also, on a cellular level, animal cells do not have chloroplasts, which mean they rely on eating other things in order to get their energy. Both plants and animals are both described as being multicellular. This means that many cells, multi meaning many cells make up each organism. Now, the third multicellular kingdom that we need to know about is fungi. So examples of this would be mushrooms, toadstools, that kind of thing. Okay? So fungi are also multicellular, which means they're made up of many cells. We also describe fungi as being saprophytes. Now, what this word here means is they feed off dead and decaying organisms. Lovely stuff. They are similar to plants on a cellular level because they do have cell walls. However, they do not contain chloroplasts. So they can't photosynthesize. They are not autotrophs. So, on to the next one. We need to also know about this particular kingdom here, which is, I'll use a different colour, which is prokaryotes. Now, prokaryotes are unicellular rather than multicellular. This means, uni means one. So this means that they are single-celled organisms. The most classic examples are bacterial cells. So they don't have a nucleus. This is how they're really different from a couple of these other ones. They don't contain a nucleus at all. Instead, they just have this chromosomal DNA and a little ring of plasmid DNA. So that's our prokaryotes. The final kingdom that we need to know about, and the most difficult one to spell, is the Protists. And it's spelt like this. So Protists are also unicellular, which means that they are single-celled organisms. So I just realised I'd misspelt unicellular there. They're single-celled organisms as well. They do have a nucleus though, so these ones are different from our bacteria, our prokaryotes, because protists do contain a nucleus. So, when we're first classifying an organism, we look at see which traits it has, and as a result, it could be put into one of these different categories. As long as we know the different features of these different categories, we can place that organism. The only other example we need to know about are viruses. Now, viruses are a little bit unusual because they don't have any of these characteristics, or in fact, they don't have all of these characteristics which make up these other living things. So viruses aren't really classified as living things. So just to summarise, the 5 different kingdoms are plants, animals, fungi, prokaryotes and protists. This is the way to classify different organisms based on different features of each organism. Thank you.